everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Soup Bowl, where I'm your host, Renee Murdoch, and it's just glad that you're here today. I'm glad to be here today. I'm glad to see you today. I'm glad that you're doing life with me, and I'm glad to be doing life with you. Well, hey, we get a little things, we stir little things up, in the Soup Bowl, where we're talking about leading our own lives. We don't know what tomorrow may bring next week, next month, next year. But we do know that, hey, if things get messy when we're leading our own lives, but they can be cleaned up. We still can go again, and we can learn from the things, right, that happen along the way. So today, it's a beautiful day outside, and lots been going on over here on my side of the house. I don't know about yours, but a lot of things has been going on, getting ready for transitioning with schools, with our young person, and looking at those things, and college be expensive out here, y'all. College be expensive. Okay, but all in all, it's all good. It's all well. We take donations. So, but I was at an event, and was curious. And I think a question was asked. What is your goal? What is your aspirations? Coming up within the year, or within this year. And so everyone had to say one thing, and I was like, man, I got a couple of goals, but if I was to place all of them into the bowl, what would that actually be? And so I was like, yeah, I'm striving to live a Mosaic life. And so, people was like, what does that mean? First, it was like, oh, okay, yay. And then it was just like, well, I was like, what does that mean, right? And I said, well, it means this, and that, whatever. It was like, oh, okay, I see, I understand, right? So I just want to, kind of talk about that today, because I've been saying it for a while, right? It started my business as well, in reference to that. And I just believe, that we are to be broken. We're to live a broken life, so to speak. And what I mean by broken, I'm not talking about, shattered and tear it down and, whoa, it's me type thing. But no, being broken in what we have placed and built up around us to build these persons, these people, and who we are. That's really not actually who we are. So, and let me explain that. So based upon our circumstances, situations, and environments, right, we tend to build upon that and in our beliefs, right, systems in reference to that. And then in doing so, we create this person, right? We create this person. And so this is who we're, normally, right, functioning as, right? So before, remember, we talked about these masks that we wear based upon our wounds, that we have. But if we truly think about it, there is some part in our lives where we're really trying to understand who we are individually as a person, right? You hear people say, like, I've never been by myself. And so I'm by myself now, and I'm learning so much about myself, right? Or, I had this time and I got away, and because I really truly wanted to search and to seek to find me, right? And not to live up to other people's expectations, or not to live according to what other people think, et cetera, et cetera. And so that means that, we have built up a person, right, who is really not who we are. But if we remove all of these things, right, so how do we get to removing these things? Well, you're going to have to break some things off, right? Some things are going to have to be chiseled down, right? How does a wall come down, right? How do you renovate, right? You're breaking things down. And when it comes to Mosaic, when you think about what Mosaic is, right, it's a bunch of small pieces that come together, right, to make one, right? One piece of a thing, or one piece of a totality of a bunch of pieces coming together to make this beautiful one thing. And so when you're living this mosaic, like, it can take years. It can take years if you really, want to think about, studying this particular topic, but it can take years, centuries, right, to come up with this beautiful artistry from all of these small, intricate pieces, right? And even when you're breaking down these pieces, it's not like, oh, let me take a hammer to it and bam, right? And then like all these pieces shattered into this, right? But it took a actual artistry, right? There were people that this is what they do. I mean, you still have people that actually do work in this particular field. And so, but it takes, certain types of tools, and how those particular small pieces are being broken. Because remember, you're breaking pieces, right, to form one, one beautiful, right thing at the end of it. And it takes time. Again, it takes time. You're not gonna get something overnight. It's just not. And if it is, it ain't authentic. It's not. It's just something that's thrown together. It might fall apart. But when you think about mosaic art and the artistry of it, these things last for centuries, right? Centuries. I mean, if we go back and look in the Roman era, and how this artistry, this art was done and formed, right? And where these particular mosaic art pieces were, right? They built up great and beautiful castles and museums and very prominent, right, emperors and things of that such. And they're still there today, right? They could have either been on the wall, in the ceiling, right? Even in the flooring, right? That you want to. And again, these things have taken years, right? It was not a few months. And I think when we will look at our lives, and where we're looking at, kind of reforming our lives and rethinking, how we're doing things. We want things to happen immediately. We want things to happen, like in the microwave, and we don't want to slow cook things. We don't like the slow cook of things, right? But that's really what mosaic art is really about. Mosaic living is about. It's just taking it day by day. Things are going to happen, right? It takes time to undo, right? Undo things that we have built up because, right, of hurt, because of abuse, because of neglect, because of disappointment. We've built up these things. We built up walls. We built up, forming, a person, right, that can basically be on the defensive, right, or put these shields up around that, so these things won't happen to us again. So we put things in place so they won't. And reality is that why can't we live a life that, there is some hurt, there is some pain, right, when it comes to living? Are we not to be able to withstand anything? I mean, when you really want to think about it, has this not made you stronger? Has it not given you greater insight, right? Has it not given you a place of like, I can go through this. I'm still living. I'm still standing, right? It's making me stronger, right? I can help people, right, that may be going through that or went through the same thing, right, that I went through. So there's always a reason and a purpose for everything. And we should not think that nothing, was done without some intention, right, behind the whole thing when you're living out this life. And so when I say that I am personally, that is my goal, is to live a mosaic life, is to be okay with the tearing down of a person that I made that is truly not me. And so when I began to allow myself to be broken, you begin to discover things, right? So in the discovering of being broken, right, there is some hurt in along with that, right? Because when you take this piece, if you look at a video of how to make mosaic art, they're chiseling away at this piece. There's some sawing that's going on, right? These tools that they're using, right? So that it can fit into next to a particular other piece, again, to make, right? To make this masterpiece. And so I believe that we're all being made into masterpieces if we allow it to take place. If not, we're just one and done, right? We are one and done. We did, we made this thing or whatever. But if we allow in that process of being in pain, right, there's also the process of being healed. It's also the process of being healed. Because when you're putting a piece into place, right there, that piece right there is at peace, right? It's fitting into that little nook or whatever where it's going, right? And it's settled there, right? So then there's that healing that took place in that particular area. Now we got to go to this other area, right, and work on that. So living, this mosaic life, you're looking at your values, your beliefs, right? The systems, that we live in, that we're a part of, and you're just reevaluating those things. You're reevaluating relationships. You're evaluating careers, right? Family dynamics. All of those things are playing into living out, this mosaic life. And so again, I believe that it's okay to be broken. It's okay to be broken. I think I posted that, and of course nobody was like, I don't think nobody was feeling me, but it's okay because it's my belief. It's my belief that you can be broken and you can still live in a life of abundancy. Because if you wait in to arrive, right, and that's what I call it, arrive, and that you are done, right? You're done. Then I think you haven't truly lived into your purpose, right? Your potential, because there's so much more there. There's so much more there. And then you have to be able to discover that. But you're really not going to be able to discover it unless you're willing to go through some pain. And that pain is brokenness, right? To be broken from what we have built. Let me be clear about that. What we have built, right? Because we're believing that this particular thing has, tore us down and tore us apart. And so now I built up this shield, or so to speak, around myself, that this will never happen to me again. And so then we built the shield, but then we're not willing to talk about it. So who are we helping, right? How did you get through it? Did you get through it, right? Probably not if you still have a shield up in regards to it. And what I mean by that is that I'm making sure that this doesn't, happen again. So anytime I see any type of behavior right there, I'm like, nope, they wrong, they in the wrong doing, whatever the case may be. But not necessarily so, not necessarily so. So on that point, just really think about, what it is that you truly want out of life. Do you want a life of secrecy, or do you want a life of freedom? And freedom is just being unashamed of what's been done to you, unashamed of what you have done. Okay, because let's just put the cards out there on the table. Let's put them out there, right? You done some stuff. We all done some stuff out here that we're not proud of. But living a life of freedom is being okay with what I've done and moving on from that, right? And not continuously doing that same behavior. So if I know I messed up, I acknowledge that I messed up, right? But if I keep doing it over and over again, then I'm really not really learning, or that's just my character, right? But if I know that I have done wrong, I've done people wrong, right? I need to get that correct corrected, right? And then just keep it moving. But you're not going to hold me in shame. You're not going to hold me in shame. You're not going to hold me in that place no more. Excuse me, because I'm no longer there. You could be there, but I'm no longer there. I have moved on and moved past that, boo. Okay, so you stay right there and I'm going to keep it moving, right? So that is being free. And so who doesn't want to be free? Who doesn't want to be free from shame? Who doesn't want to be free from disappointment? Who doesn't want to be, free from judgment or whatever the case may be? Because you can judge over there all you want to, but I'm free from it. Meaning that it pays me no mind, right? Your judgment pays me no mind, right? Your disappointment in me, no mind, right? Because I'm no longer concerned about what you think about me, right? In regards to this particular, situation, right? Even here, I'm not concerned about it. I'm not concerned if you believe whether or not we should all be living Mosaic lives or not. That's my belief. That's my stance, right? Like, look, I'm looking to be put into the potter's hand, right? Into the master creation's hand, and for allowing him to create what needs to be created, not for me to try to create what I want to create. Because sometimes, it don't turn out so well. It don't turn out well. I can be a witness to that. So, what's your goal? What's your goal? What do you want to say? What do you want people to say? When you leave this earth, it's really what it is. Because once you're gone, you're gone. That's it. Ain't no coming back. Yeah, I don't know. You're not coming back as a bird and dog. I'm just saying. But sorry, I can't rub my nose because of my allergies. But anyway, to the point that I'm making is that once you leave this earth, that's it. Like you get this one life, right? And I hear people say all the time, like, I'm living my life. I'm living it out here to the fullest, and I'm just doing me and this and that, or whatever. And it's like, okay, how do you live life to the fullest? I think you live life to the fullest by being honest with yourself. And when you can be honest with yourself, you can be honest with others. If you lie to yourself, then you're going to lie to others. You're going to make up this, story, right, that you have, told yourself, right? And then you continuously lead off of that story with others. And so, for example, right, I grew up I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, right? And I grew up in a little bit of different spaces, right, during my childhood. But if I calculate all the years together, right, most people would say, okay, you grew up here, like, in Omaha, Nebraska, right? Because that's where, if I calculate all the years, then I would have spent more time there as a child than any other place that I've ever lived. However, my truth is, I don't say that I'm from there because I never felt like that was my home. I'm just, if you're watching and you knew me when I was growing up, I just never felt like that was my home. I just always felt like I was out of place there. And many times we would leave and come back. I just always felt out of place there. So I never really called it home. And when I left, I never went back. I think I went back one time because my mother was still living there, but I only been back like one or two times maybe. But I haven't been back since because I never saw that as my home, right? And so, people were like, oh, where did you grow up? And I was like, oh, here and there, right? Oh, were you this, and that? No, I wasn't military brat or anything of that nature. My mom just moved around a lot. She was always, looking for what I don't know. You would have to ask her that. I have my own conclusion, right? But I am not her, so I could not actually say that on her behalf, other than if she actually said it. But she's no longer living. So, but to that point is that growing up, in those different aspects and different areas, whatever, I would just, not try to put myself like in this space, in this box. And I really didn't like when other people put me in this particular box or space or whatever. And I always felt like I was trying to come out of it or not even get in it or whatever. So I would go the opposite or whatever, or so to speak. And I wasn't a loner, but I also wasn't, I also wasn't a groupie either. So, meaning like I didn't have like a set group of people, whatever, that I like hung out with, right? So that just wasn't my MO. But the more I did not settle on that, okay, I guess let me bring this back around. The more I did not settle in on that, I felt like it was a lie to myself, right? Because I really just didn't understand how I could answer that question. I don't even like people asking me that question, right? Because it just always goes into something else, right? And so I had to learn to be like, you know what? This is where I grew up, majority of my life. But I really don't call it home. And then that's it, right? Why don't you call it home? Oh, because I just, whatever. If people want to dig a little bit deeper into the situation, right? When I would make comments of, I never wanted to be married. Well, why is it that you never wanted to be married? Well, this is the reason why, right? Why do I have a problem with saying the word father? And I didn't realize this for a while, but I literally had a problem with saying the word father, the word dad, right? Daddy, or things of that nature, because I really never had one. And so to say the word was foreign to me, or to even call someone else that was foreign, it just didn't sit right, even coming up as an adult. Even when, I got married to my husband and his father, I was like, it was just foreign to me to use that word. Even in my faith, right, to say father. Like, I just could not really just accept that word and what that word meant. Because to me, I didn't see a good father. I didn't see one. Right? I didn't really have an experience. I mean, I think I had a short experience with one, and then that was kind of like ripped away from me. And so it was just kind of like, okay. And then my proximity of what I saw growing up with, other people's fathers, if I did see them, that they weren't really present, right? Like they were there, but they weren't really present. Like they didn't really say much, right? Or really have like a presence, like, with us, as young people, or I just didn't see it. So I had to be honest about that, of why my relationship, right, was the way it was, as far as like, my father, of who I truly believed, created me, right? So, which is the Heavenly Father, God, Abba, Yahweh, Yeshua, right? And the good things that He wanted for me. I just felt like I always had to do something to earn it. But I didn't realize that, you didn't have to earn the love, right? You didn't have to earn it. And I didn't comprehend that because I did not have it. And so I had to be honest with myself about that. And then why was I always so hard on myself? I had these very high standards and then, with other people, right? Because I was lying to myself. I'm lying to myself, I'm going to lie to other people. I'm lying about my story, I'm going to be lying to other people. But if I'm honest with myself, I'm going to be honest with people. You may not like my honesty, but it's my honesty, right? Like, I don't see things the way that you see them, and that's okay. I may not see them the way that you see them, and that's okay. But we should be able to be honest with one another, right? That's part of living a Mosaic life, is being honest with one another. So be honest with yourself first. You can't lead your life if you can't be honest with yourself. You got, talk to yourself, right, about what it is that you want. Be honest about it, right? Like, I tell my daughter all the time, okay, I hear what you're saying. You still ain't asked me nothing. Like, say what you want. Be honest with yourself and say what you want. Nobody knows, right, unless you actually say it. And let it be known. It's gonna be a yes or a no. It's gonna be a yes or a no. And be okay, right, knowing that. Right? But say what you want. Do not be fearful of being honest with yourself and where you are at. We're all in different places. Do not condemn other people for where they are at. Accept them for where they are at. That's why it's so difficult for people to grow and to change and be a part of certain communities and organizations, because we do not accept people for where they are at. And so people struggle. We focus on the wrong thing, right? And because we don't want to deal with ourselves, we feel like we want to deal with somebody else. No, people. We're leading our own lives first, right? And then we're able to lead others, right? If I can't say to myself, I don't like early meetings. That's really not me. I love early meetings. But if I say I don't like that, right? But then I'm telling someone the opposite of that, then the first part of this is I was not honest in saying to myself, I really don't like early meetings. And so I need to tell the other team members, maybe we should look at something in between, right? Or whatever. And maybe not something, because I'm that's not going to work for me or whatever. Let's come to an agreement. But let's not sit there and don't say anything about it, right? Or, in a family, structure or whatever. Like, I had to be honest, right? That I did not, right, want to be married. I had to deal with that. Why is it that you don't want to be married, right? Or I never wanted to get married, right? Why is that, right? Because you've seen A, B, C, D, and E, whatever, growing up. Do you want that to be your story? Is it, you're being honest with yourself so you can address, right, circumstances and situation that it may be. And then not allow people to live a lie based off of your lie. We find ourselves in situations because we're living a lie and people are basing their life off our lie. So it's just a very unhealthy environment, right? Have you ever been in a hostile environment, right? Like hostile environment based off of a lie? Ooh, I should be in an opera. Woo-hoo! I don't know. No, I should not. But see, that's a lie. That's a lie right there. I should not, do not, should not, be not in an opera. You hear what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, so, but, there's no but. I should not be in an opera. So, looking, that's a lot. That's a lot to take in. We just need to salah in that moment right there. Salah. Be honest about where you are. Because if you're not honest about where you are and you can't acknowledge where you are, then you really are not going to move ahead. You're really not going to get to freedom. You're really not going to break boundaries. You're not even going to be able to get to your goals because you're not honest about where you are. And we must first acknowledge, right, where we are. Right? If I'm an alcoholic, I'm an alcoholic. Acknowledge it. If I'm dealing drugs and it's wrong, I acknowledge it. If I'm a adulterer, acknowledge it. If I'm a liar, acknowledge these things, right? So you can move on from them. So you can change the behavior, right? And not only that, but as you're working on changing the behavior, don't allow people to hold you in bondage. Don't allow you're changing you, right? They're not changing you. People, you can't change nobody. You can't change nobody. You can only change yourself. I cannot change you. I can only change myself. I can't change my husband. I love him dearly. There's just some things that he just does that. But I can't change that. He will have to want to change those things. I can say all that I want to say, and all I'm going to just be is just a nagging noise in his ear. I'm just constantly be like, you need to do, 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 you need to do. I'm going to just slap some oil on him. I'm not gonna slap no one, but I'm just saying, for real, like I can't change him. I can only change me. So how I respond to things and how I say things in my tone, that brings about change. That brings about change. Well, we're back past our mark on today, and I just really appreciate you all going on this journey with me. There's a lot to be said about living a Mosaic life, and we can dig in a little bit deeper, but I just want you to know that, hey, you don't have to be in shame. I'm not in shame, right? We can dig a little bit deeper in what, not being unashamed, right? In the past, right? To move into the future, right? And then being okay. And I'm telling you right now, when you begin living a Mosaic life, those that were with you, those that were, around you, so to speak, or in your, in your crew, or whatever you want to call it, in your circle, you might see them fall away. And you might be trying to hold on to them to their life, and then you're just going to have to let their hand go. But it's all good, though. It's all good because your tribe will emerge when you just break free. All right. Do know that leading is teachable, and I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Peace until next time. This has been the Soup Bowl, where things get a little messy.